deep learning is a subset of machine learning where it's a family of algorithms that simply do the prediction task of inferring from some principle, learning some principle based on data, and being able to be deployed and apply on this problem and solve this problem in a production environment based on the data that they learned before.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with C-Tech. In this episode, we're going to take AI and deep learning to the next level. Meet Yonatan Geifman, co-founder and CEO of Deci, the deep learning company building the next generation of AI. He co-founded Deci after completing his Ph.D. in computer science at the Technion-Israel Institute of Technology. His research focused on making deep neural networks, DNNs, more applicable for mission-critical tasks. Yonatan was also a member of Google AI's MorphNet team, where he worked on developing an automated machine learning algorithm based on neural network pruning. Yonatan Geifman, welcome. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you? Thank you for hosting me.
I am doing great. Thank you very much. Deep learning. One of the things that we mentioned right before we start here is that this is not going to be another ordinary episode. There's some hardcore stuff to talk about. There's nothing to do about it. What you're doing with Deci, this idea of taking AI to the next level. Most people around, don't understand the foundation of AI and what it actually means. And you're here taking us already to the next level, publishing papers in some of the biggest conferences like NeurIPS and working with Google and machine learning and Ph.D. in Technion. So. Nothing selling short, and I can only imagine the complexity that now you're bringing to the world with Deci. And so I want to cut right to the chase. Yonatan, how do you get to decide that you want to dedicate your professional career right now to the concept of deep learning? Why deep learning?
Okay, so I started to look at deep learning maybe 6 or 7 years ago when it was the early days of this technology. And when thinking about deep learning, it was kind of fascinating why this technology works, how it works, and where can we take it. It was not deployed on many applications. It was the early days, and I was wondering what we can do with this technology, what enablement could it done to the world, and I started to research this, and during my PhD, I started to look about applications of deep learning and how can we make it more applicable for real life, and how can we count more on deep learning related algorithms in order to involve them in mission critical tasks in our world, like autonomous vehicles and in medical diagnosis. So this was kind of the early days when I look at these algorithms in my PhD and master.
So when you're repeating the words deep learning, a term that really is it's not ubiquitous and it is some sort of a black box for a lot of people. What do you mean when you say deep learning?
So deep learning, if we look at the world of AI, which is a very general term, and here with us for maybe 50 or 60 years, we can divide it into machine learning, which is a class of algorithms, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning where it's a family of algorithms that simply do the prediction task of inferring from some principle, learning some principle based on data, and being able to be deployed and apply on this problem and solve this problem in a production environment based on the data that they learned before. And they are mainly good in doing some prediction tasks in image, in voice, and in text. So these are kind of the native applications of deep learning, like processing signal, natural signal, like images, voice, and text, and making some predictions like classifications, detecting objects in images, transcribing voice and stuff like this. So this is kind of what deep learning is doing today in our life, and it's deployed on many applications that we can see in our mobile phone. It deployed all over the internet in some of the backend of the sites that we're using, like Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, Google search. It's everywhere, and we're not also always familiar with the fact that it surrounded us with in so many applications inside, and we are using deep learning every day.
Yonatan, why go do a PhD in the Technion in deep learning? You have to, like, I'm sure you already know this, that if you walk down the street and if your shirt said that, people think you're crazy. It's like one of the hardest things you can do. Like why like a lot of people would say, why torture yourself? How do you see your academia and I'm smiling also because I'm in that path as well, and so I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but it is an elephant in the room that needs to be said.
Actually, so I didn't dive directly into a PhD. I started with a master and searched for a topic to do some research during my master thesis, and then I found deep learning is very interesting. Then I dig a little bit and found a whole world that I want to investigate and research a little bit further. And then I continued to a PhD. I think that it's something that took me into the world of deep learning and trying to build some more applications, doing more research, and seeing how this technology can make its impact. I think that this was the strongest motivation that I had while continuing from the master to PhD and focusing deeper on deep learning.
And so you're finishing the PhD, and a lot of people that have AI expertise or any ability to create meaningful products, they think, okay, how can I actually use AI to augment something in our daily life, whether it's autonomous vehicles, it's image recognition, signal processing, audio, whatever. You're saying, I'm not going to deal with one specific thing. I'm going to talk about AI in general. What does that mean to you?
So we saw the situation with this technology those days, like 2019, and we saw that many people are trying to use deep learning, but it wasn't easy on those days. Also now it's not so easy. And the proficiency that was needed from the developers in order to adopt this technology into applications in real life, in the industry, was very high. And we thought, okay, how can we reduce that barrier? How can we make deep learning simple to build, simple to use, simple to deploy? And this was kind of the motivation. I didn't want to focus on one specific narrow application and kind of collect the data and do all the job. And the one interesting thing in the horizontal AI approach that you see many applications and many tasks, and it's very diverse. We are working with customers in healthcare, and we are working with customers in image editing and smart cities and many applications. And we kind of exposed to all the impact that this technology can do to the world. And I think that this is more interesting from my personal perspective than focusing on one narrow application, building it along the way. So this was kind of the motivation, like making this technology available for everyone, for any application, and seeing its impact on all the width of the available applications of that technology.
So, now how many people are currently working at Deci?
So at Deci we have 26 people at the moment. We are
Wow.
expanding very fast. Yeah, we started 1.5 years ago. Like maybe 1 year ago we were only 6, and then we had a huge traction from the market side, working with many customers at the moment. So we expanded very fast, and it was very interesting. Like this stage of the startup, coming from 0 to 1, from 6 to 26 in 1 year, it's fascinating because you want to build something with a unique culture, you want to control everything, you want to hire a good and like building company at these stages is very fascinating in my perspective. Like scaling up the team, building the right team to the right mission with the right product is very challenging, and you have to control all the details at this stage. So yes, it is great.
So building a culture, and a lot of the times we hear about the mission and the vision of the company, and the CEO's responsibility to make sure that everybody's aligned on this vision, and a lot of engineers and researchers are looking for meaning in their work. How do you explain to your team members the meaning of the work that you're doing? Because it is a little bit more theoretical and less tangible than somebody who's working on security cameras for an elderly home care, right? Which obviously has an immediate impact. So how do you go about explaining that?
Actually, we are seeing ourselves as AI enablers. So in some sense, we have large customers with some, let's say, mobile apps that are deployed all across the world, and they can use these applications and see Deci model, like the engine behind the largest applications from the largest companies are driven by Deci technology. So being able to see your technology work with the largest companies' applications is amazing, in the sense that you feel that you build something that is deployed all over the world, making impact, giving some value, product value for users. And it's more than like building a startup that will have 10, 100 customers. They deployed all across the world with applications of the largest tech companies in the world. So this is kind of the largest scale that you can think that a small startup from Israel can build technology.
Right. And so going back to the world of deep learning a little bit, share with me a little, your 2 cents on where we're headed, both where Deci is headed, but also as an industry. Where is the deep technology or deep learning industry headed in your perspective?
So I think that one of the things that we see that deep learning will dominate all the machine learning space and all the AI space. So if I mentioned at the beginning that at the moment deep learning is mostly working on computer vision, on audio and NLP, on text analysis, we'll see in the future that it will completely replace all the traditional algorithms, what is called classical machine learning, that is doing some medical diagnosis, that is doing some mathematical or statistical analysis. So deep learning will be the entire AI stack, in my perspective, in the future. Also, we are seeing a kind of standardization of how companies and people are building deep learning algorithms. And we will see more and more end-to-end tools that help the data scientist and the deep learning engineer to build, optimize, and deploy deep learning, like what we are doing in Deci. So at the moment, the AI market or the industry of AI is very fragmented, with a lot of tools that every tool is doing something very, very small and very, very unique. And I think that this market will go to platforms that are giving end-to-end value. I think that the first company that identified that and tried to build it is AWS with the SageMaker platform. But we'll see more and more companies. Also, Google announced like last week something that they call Vertex AI, which is an end-to-end platform for AI. So we'll see companies that are building end-to-end platform that help from the development side, even with the data, labeling the data, and etc., to the production side. And this is also the goal of Deci, like being the go-to platform, an end-to-end platform for deep learning. That what interesting at Deci is how we build the models, which is based on the AutoNAC technology, which automatically design the models to get best performance in production.
Okay. What does that mean? What is it that you just said?
AutoNAC, automatic neural architecture construction. This means that if in the past data scientist was needed to craft the neural architecture manually, neural architecture is the core of the deep learning model, like the structure of the model. And in the past, a data scientist was needed to craft this manually, like connect some layers together, think about the new architectures, or get something from GitHub that already published in academic paper. This was non-optimal in the sense that this was not tailored for the specific task that this data scientist is trying to solve. And with AutoNAC, it's an algorithm that automatically designs the structure of the deep learning model in order to kind of solve an optimization problem of getting the best accuracy while also getting the maximal performance in production. As we know, deep learning requires huge amount of computational effort during training and also in the production side. And in order to reduce that, we are building algorithms with AutoNAC that are more efficient than the common deep learning algorithms that are available in academic paper or in GitHub.
Right. And so what it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that essentially you're taking the research that you've been doing and that you love doing and that you're fascinated by, and you turn it into just a very, very profitable business, but really you're continuing to do research on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things is that about 1/3 of the company is a research team. We are constantly
Wow.
doing research in the state of the art of deep learning, like an academic institute on one side, and it's very fun and seeing new results and being like on the state of the art of the academic papers and results. And on the other side, we try to productize it and give it to the world and make it like easy to use and being able to build deep learning models automatically in very simple way. So this is kind of on one end is the research, on the other end is the product to productize this technology. And this short route from a research idea to product in production that serves customers, it's a very exciting.
So within this past year, you grew from 6 to 26. You've gained a bunch of customers. You've essentially validated everything you wanted to validate. And where is Deci going from here? So if as the leader of this ship, where is Deci going to be? Either you decide in 1 year, maybe 5 years.
Yeah. So in the short term, we started very narrow with a very focused value proposition from the performance side, from computer vision, from edge to cloud. Now we are expanding to work all across the domains of deep learning, from computer vision to NLP to audio. So this is immediate. Like next quarter, we are onboarding customers in NLP. In the longer future, we see Deci as the go-to for deep learning development. So if you need to build the deep learning algorithms, you better do it with Deci, because this will give you the best results. That's my vision.
I have to say that I just love that vision. And I think that one of the things that we can also touch on here is just this idea of how big this market is growing. It is exploding. It is growing at such an amazing rate, where you have basically every company now needs to leverage this technology, because this has become the staple or the basis or foundation for anything. It's no longer just heuristics or just now this is the basis of understanding customers, understanding products, understanding performance and optimization, right? So, and I'm guessing that where you're sitting, you're really seeing it, where all of a sudden you have all these companies that maybe even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, didn't have anything, right?
Yeah, so now we're working with the experts. We are helping tech companies to leverage this technology further. In the future, we are looking also to help like the companies that want to enter into AI with our platform. So this is kind of lowering the barrier, lowering the bar of entering into AI is one of our long-term goals.
Right. Yonatan, I love this conversation. Thank you. I have 3 questions, but they're about Yonatan, not about Deci or deep learning. Are you ready for them?
I hope I'm ready.
We'll start with your favorite subject from middle school or high school.
I think it's mathematics. I don't know. It was something that was interesting. I was good at that, and I liked it.
Amazing. Who would be one of your role models? Somebody that inspires you in some way?
I will say 2. Larry and Sergey from Google. I think that they built an amazing company, and it's very interesting to learn about their journey from the Ph.D. at Stanford to building Google. Like, I think that they're the role model for me. Like seeing Google now and looking what is Google become and thinking about the early days, that's for me the great example of building large company.
What are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself, or if I were to ask anybody, who is Yonatan Geifman?
Family, Deci, life.
I love it. Yonatan, toda raba raba. Thank you. I can't wait to start to understand how the work that you're doing is going to implicate the world in such a dramatic way. And I think that one of the things that I'm excited to think about is that, it's no matter how much you'll know, you won't even know how far down the snowball effect this made and the butterfly effect. Both effects are in place here. Yonatan, toda raba. Thank you very, very much. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Bye-bye.